Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Level Up and Live podcast. Our mission here is to empower business owners to design a life they don't grow to hate without sacrificing health, relationships, and spirituality through accountability, support, clarity, guidance, and community. Today's guest is an absolute powerhouse, a mom of five. You heard that correctly, a mom of five, grandma, wife, and the founder of Tailored to You Solutions. Cassi Taylor, didn't wait for life to slow down. She built her business in the chaos and turned her mess into a mission. She's the queen of reclaiming time, decluttering lives, and serving others with grit and grace. Let's dive in with the one and only Cassi Taylor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, you know how we roll. Give us that 1 minute intro.
I'm Cassi Taylor. I am the owner of Tailored to Solutions. Are you overwhelmed with clutter? Overwhelmed with just your laundry pile? I have a solution for you. It's tailored just for you. I'm a mom, 5 kids. I've actually gotten 2 off into adulthood. So now I'm a grandma. They call me honey. I love my life and I love helping others. And I'm right here in Montgomery County and I hit parts of Houston. So if you're motivated to have somebody come in and help, I'm your girl and we're your team.
Let's go. You've acted like you practiced that a couple times.
Nope. I just
awesome.
say what's in my heart. It just comes.
I love it. Well, in practice, it is good to practice too in the reps and because from my experience, it takes so much time, energy, and effort to really formulate not only our identity, but also who we are becoming and be able to communicate that effectively. Takes time, takes practice, and you have put in those reps.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's such an inspiration. Well, let's dive in. Let's pull back the layers a little bit. Take us back. What was that moment you knew that you had to start Tailored to You Solutions, even in the middle of your busy, beautiful chaos of life?
So first, I didn't do it on my own. 2020 hit. I had already pulled my kids from public school. We were homeschooling. I knew I needed to get back out there because staying at home was driving me crazy. I love my kids, but I needed an outlet. And a friend of mine had her own cleaning business, and I stepped into that. She invited me about 6 months to a year later to join her as a partner. And then that's where God grew me to show me that, hey, you can do this. And I just had another vision saying to add that organizing piece, to add that tailored piece. We kept going in, and with cookie cutter, we had a few clients that we did just little stuff for, but I wanted to be able to offer that to all clients, not just those that just happen to think about it. I wanted to make sure that that was the forefront of my clients' minds, that I want to be there for them. I'm an extension of their home, and it doesn't have to look my way. It needs to look their way. So I had a conversation with her and I was like, hey, one of us has to go because I have this vision God's given me and I need to figure it out. But then I still took 7 months to actually launch my own. And it was a good friend of mine who was like, Cassi, stop waiting for it to be perfect, because I am a little bit of a perfectionist with some OCD. And he's just like, here, take my garage and run with it. And I haven't looked back. I've loved it and I've appreciated it. And he's still an ear I can talk to about business stuff.
Well, that's beautiful. So what I'm hearing you say is that 7 months of really going through that mindset shift, that the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions that take place when you transition out into your own, opening that business, starting that business, hiring your first employee, all these emotions come to, it seems like the craziest times when you don't want them to come. Take our listeners and viewers and audience through that moment when you transition into opening up Tailored to You Solutions. What was going through your mind? Was there any emotions, feelings in that 7 months? And then how did you overcome those emotions and feelings?
The biggest one, and I still struggle with it sometimes, is the imposter syndrome. I mean, yes, I am perfectionist and I want it to be a certain way, but my kids couldn't be raised in that way so that they could find their own identity, whether they wanted it to look exactly alike. And I have 2 out of 5 that are more like that than the rest. But God really impressed on me about 11 years ago that I had to let them be them
Mm.
and not do everything for them. If I wanted them to survive in society, I couldn't be their hand holding, I'm going to clean it, I'm going to do it. No, I had to
Mm.
teach them. So when people ask me or say, "Oh, your house must be perfect." Oh no, it's not. I'm living in the life just like you guys are. Um, and that's how I can have real conversations with moms and with business owners saying, "Hey, it's not perfect. And
That's right.
every season isn't gonna be that season of perfection." And then I can walk through and they know that I'm human, just like
Mm.
they are. Oh, you mean you don't walk into a pristine kitchen? No, I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. But this is life. And in order to teach the next person, you have to let them be them first before you can get them to the next level in their own life.
Mm. So you serve more people. Speaking of serving, impacting faith and the Lord working through you, one of the I met you a little over, I guess, what, six months ago? Like
Well,
when
we've
we're
known each other a little bit longer,
yes,
but
we've known each other longer, but we've really been able to dive deep with
yes.
married life and the mastermind group. And one of the
Mhm.
things that I've realized about you is that you serve more people than anyone I have ever met in my entire life. Literally everywhere I go, whether it's church, whether it's in our mastermind group or CBL, any of these groups, you are plugging yourself in. And so
Mhm.
that can be business, family, networking. My question, and I'm curious, and I know our audience and listeners is as well, is where does that servant leadership come from, and how do you sustain it as long as you have?
Again, goes back to God telling me that I can't do all and be all and expect it to be perfect all the time.
Mm.
I did have a rough few years in the middle of my marriage, and God really did a work in me saying, step out of yourself. You can't focus on yourself and get bogged down by what your circumstances are. How can you go and love on other people? And that was through a counselor through the church that was just like, you need to get out there and serve, get outside of yourself. And every time I pour back out into others, God's like, this is what it's about. This is
Mm.
your ministry, to serve and to just be the hands and feet. I mean,
Mm.
I can't see it any other way. I love pouring out. Sometimes when I come home, I'm exhausted and I'm like, just pour back into me, give me a few minutes. And then I'm like, but even my husband's like, can you stop? Just stop. Go sit. Don't can and then it's like, kids, get off your mom. Stop hugging her. And I'm just like, wait, no, come back, hug me. I need the hugs. So just getting into God's word. When you're getting filled up, you can pour back out. I'm just, I
You're
never
definitely
want.
not sorry to interrupt you. You definitely embody that in serving and impacting. I think me and you've talked about that behind the scenes is
Mhm.
when you're serving and impacting, that's a lot of time, energy, and effort. And you just said it. When you get home, your tank's on empty. And one of the things that I know that we all struggle on, and I'm sure even our listeners, audience, and viewers are as well, is sometimes when we pour into others, when we're so focused on others, we forget to fuel our own tanks. We forget to rest, refuel, and recover, to
Mhm.
go and pour more into others. And it's just not sustainable. That leads to
Right.
burnout, frustration, stuck, and overwhelm. What is one or two different things that you're practicing right now to overcome that, so you become aware as a business owner, is like, oh, I'm pouring into the mastermind group, CBL, church, my kids, my husband, all these other people, and then you're left with 5 minutes at the end of the day for yourself, and that's gearing up before bed. So what is one or two different ways that you are practicing on working on right now? It's a work in progress to
Definitely.
fuel your tank back up and rest and recover so you can go out and serve people at a higher level, higher standard. Because I know our listeners and audience are going through the same thing that you're going through.
Yes. A good night's sleep. I didn't think it was as important until
Mm,
recently, but really honing in on um, that and timing of how I feel my body.
mm,
Um, just recently, I'm like, I don't eat after 7. I'm winding down and I'm starting to wind down about 9, but I'm trying to be in bed and ready to just knock out by 10 p.m. because I'm back up between 5 and 6 and just ready to go.
mm.
And honestly, looking at my sleep goal, it's like, yes, you hit your sleep goal. That's great. And it's like another motivation saying, I did get the sleep I needed and I can see how deep I went to sleep. And it's so important. And I'm like, oh, I did feel that well rested. And now my body's getting used to the fact that I need to be in bed by 10. And that's okay because I'm here for a greater purpose than to sit up all night trying to do everything.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you're not only being more intentional, but you're also realizing by being self-aware that, oh, if I don't get this sleep, if I don't do these small little bitty non-negotiables, you're not able to show up that 10.0 version for your family, your team, and the people around you. So by
Correct.
doing this in the sleep, I'm curious because I know a lot of our listeners, and just for my own sake as well, how many hours of sleep do you get per night
7.
typically? You get 7 hours?
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Then any more than that, and I'm more tired.
Yes. And you found that sweet spot, that bread and butter, that
Hmm.
7 hours. That's usually where I'm at, 7.5 hours. And one of the things that I've realized being a student of the game is that, sure, the mindset of entrepreneurs and business owners, well, I'll sleep when I die. At least that's what my mindset was,
Hmm.
working 24/7, grind, hustle. You've got all these
Yes.
other obligations. And for you, you're super mom. You got 5 kids, you got a business, you're a leader in all these different classes. It's like, how are you still getting 7 hours? Because you are intentional about it, because if you
Yes.
don't, how you're going to be showing up the next day. So,
Hmm.
quick story, I'm very big on my time and evening and morning routine, as you know.
Hmm.
And we usually go to bed by 7. Well, this is recording is May 20th, 2025. And this has been on the calendar for at least 4 weeks. And my wife is holding me accountable to it. The power of accountability. And
Yes.
one of the things I struggle with is family relationships, doing like birthdays, anniversaries, these things that don't necessarily fulfill me. I love serving, impacting. I love podcasting. I love all these different things that I do in my life. Well, we're going to a graduation tonight for my niece. And it's one of those moments she wants me to show up for her. And we got
Hmm.
invited. Well, in my mind, I'm not used to doing these things. And so I have to be very intentional. So now today I'm like, Kendra, I don't know how I'm going to make it through tonight. I'm usually in bed by 7, but we're going to be doing the graduation in the Woodlands at Pavilion today at 7. It starts at 7, so we won't be home till 9, 10 o'clock. And I'm going to be struggling tomorrow morning. So I'm so grateful we're doing this podcast today. But it just goes to show you, like, I feel like as long as it's not on a daily basis, I'm able to
Right.
reflect on that. Hey, it's once in a blue moon. Let's put systems and processes in place so we can do the things that showing up for our family and friends and stuff like that because it's important to them.
Right.
Now, transitioning, for what I've learned also is that this is what we're talking about is consistency. So I'm curious with you, what role does consistency play in both your home and your business? Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And how can leaders adopt that same discipline in their own lives?
Consistency is something that I've actually struggled with
Mm,
because of that needing to do it all
mm,
syndrome up until here recently. And God is really, um, it's the Romans 12:2, the renewing of your mind. And I have to
mm,
remind myself, if I'm not doing this, then I'm really not doing this for the Lord. And if I'm not doing it for the Lord, then I'm doing it for the wrong reasons.
Mm.
So showing up consistently, getting up, being available, um, having my business hours set, having conversations and saying, hey, I'm willing to, can I respond to this? It'll take about 5 minutes of my time, but it's important to connect with this person, and just having real conversations with my family. Before it was like, Mom, you're always on your phone, you're always on your phone. And now it's, oh, we can go watch a show, we can enjoy dinner, we know what we're doing.
I love that. And so what I'm hearing you say is that with the consistency, because when I think of consistency, I consistently see you every Thursday morning, every Friday morning, every week at church, and then also too in your home life. And for me, it's aligning the life that you want to live with
Mhm.
your family and taking them with you. I feel that you embody that. One of the things that I've learned about you in the last 6 months that you do such a good job at, and for our listeners and audience that don't know, Cassie, is that you bring your family with you. You started your own networking here in Willis, Texas. I show up because I get invited, and there your husband is sitting over there at the table, and your kids are sitting there. If that's not the power of consistency in your home and in business, I don't know what is. That is an inspiration to me. On top of that, and plugging your oldest, and then by plugging your oldest in there, he's showing up, asking questions, getting curious, going from working at Sonic as a manager to opening his own business in just a short period of time. So the role of consistency, the power of that is you being a role model, because it's caught, not taught. And so I would
Mhm.
just empower the listeners and audience and viewers to reflect on your own life. Where are you showing up and where are you not showing up? Because that's one of the things, I know you said you struggle with that, but I have seen a huge transformation in you in how you are showing up for your business and home. Sure, it may be tough when we get home, we're depleted, we're exhausted, but we left it all on the playing field, and at least
Yes.
you're plugging and having that, uh, and you're taking your family with you in these different environments. And to me, that is a key ingredient, because you're able to run that aligned with what it is that's important to you.
Yes.
It's powerful. So I want to talk a little bit about you walking into homes. So this is a question that I've been really curious about and haven't got a chance to ask you. You walk into these homes and they're full of overwhelm. So I can only
Mhm.
imagine some of these homes that you walk into, garages, and you basically essentially help people breathe again. They're overwhelmed,
Mhm.
they're frustrated, maybe they burnt out, they just can't do it all. The moms, the business owners, and who you're helping. I'm curious, what have you learned about people, clutter, and the emotional connection to their space at home?
People, one, people are doing exactly what everybody else is doing. They're following the trends, getting all the things, and then they get them home. And I was just talking to somebody and he's like, yep, I've got a shelf of things, useless things. And I'm like, well, what are you doing with that shelf? He's like, nope, it's just there. And I'm like, why? And
Mm,
until I can get in his home and actually have a more in-depth conversation, it'll just be, why? Why is it there? So
yes.
it is. It's walking in and it's like, okay, I get it. You love all your stuff. I have a lot of stuff that I love too. Let's be purposeful.
Mm,
Why did you keep it? Why do you want it? Okay. I'm not making you throw anything away that you're not wanting to.
mm,
I'm not here to make you a minimalist. I'm here to make your stuff work for you. You
mm,
wanted it, there was a purpose behind it. And if it's no longer serving a purpose, it's now just sitting there. Because
mm,
guess what? You don't have time to return it. You don't have time to sell it. You don't have time to take it to a dump. I have a solution for all of those things. I'm here for a solution, not for it to be because it's how I want it, but it's how you want it.
mm,
And I keep stressing that it's for you because it's your home. It's not mine. I'm just here to help facilitate the use of your space.
mm,
Most people are like, okay, I'm done. I'm overwhelmed. And I've got the clients that want to walk beside me every step of the way because they're afraid that I'm going to do something that they've asked me not to do. Then I've
Mm-hmm.
got the clients that are like, nope, this is what I want, go do it. And I'll leave homework for them to go through things in between sessions. And I'm just like, okay, where are we at? And I'll touch base. And sometimes the stuff is still there, sometimes the stuff is not. And then I also give an option for consignment, and whether you want me to help you sell it from your place or help you sell it from my place so that it's already out of your space, out of your way, out of sight, out of mind. And then we come up with a solution. So I'm not I'm not trying to force anything, because forcing things is like a round peg in a square, the
Oh, yeah.
analogy. So, and it just doesn't work.
So that's why God puts you, women like you and business owners like you on this earth, because when I hear you talk, I'm like, thank the Lord that there's individuals like you, because I can think of at least a dozen people in my life that if I tried to go over there and do your job, Cassie, then they would be like, oh, you're pressuring me. I don't want to get rid of that. I've had it for 25 years. And there's probably a list of 10 people that I know they're listening to this and they have this stuff in their home and they don't know what to do with. And they've just pushed it over to the side. They've neglected it and they've had it for 15, 20, 25 years. But we both know what that does as a human being, as an individual. From
Uh,
my experience, because I've been in environments where there's basically borderline hoarderness and you've got stuff
mhm.
everywhere. And then you've got stuff, the minimalism. So there's that fine line. And I'm curious, you said it earlier, there's a purpose behind each of these objects and these things
Mhm.
that we keep. What have you found is the why behind that from these people that you've worked with? Why are they holding on to these things? Why are they emotionally connected to them from your experience?
A lot of it is sentiment, or somebody gave it to them and they don't know that they have permission to get rid of it.
Mm,
And it's really just an outsider coming in saying, "Hey, if it doesn't work for you, you are not obligated to keep it.
mm,
You have permission to get rid of it."
mm,
And sometimes they don't want to because they really still feel. And then I'm just like, you still don't have to get rid of it. We can find another home for it. That way you know where it's at when you want to go see it.
mm.
So it really, it's an emotional tie most of the
It's al-
time for stuff that people don't want to get rid of.
it's almost like when you say that, I almost feel this weight come off my shoulder. You're giving me the okay. Hey, it's okay. We're going to find a solution for that. Where
Hmm.
most people they get overwhelmed because I don't know what I should do with it. I think about my family, some of my family members that have hold on to sentiment items for decades,
Hmm.
and my grandparents. And so it's sitting over there in the corner collecting dust and cobwebs. Now, you had mentioned earlier there's a purpose for everything. What would you tell somebody that is a business owner, a leader that has feel buried in paperwork, laundry, dishes, and just life in general? They're buried up to their neck. How can outsourcing to a company like yours, tailored to you solutions, or organizing be a strategy, not a luxury?
You really need to do a time audit. How much of your time, energy, and effort is going into these things, and where would you like that time, energy, and effort to go to?
Mm,
And if you would rather go to a baseball game than fold laundry, then you need to learn that buying back your time and
mm,
giving other people the opportunity to use their time, talent, and efforts to serve you is exactly how God planned it. He
mm,
didn't plan for us to do everything for ourselves in our lives. We are built for community, we are built to
mm.
lean on one another. I'm not an electrician. I have my friend coming over who is an electrician to come look at my stuff.
Yeah.
I can do it myself. There's YouTube videos everywhere. But will it be the same result? Will it give me peace of mind at the end of the day? No. If I do it myself, if I ask somebody else who loves to do it, who's great at it, it fulfills their purpose, it fills their cup, and they're able to go do more for their families in return.
Do you have a story that you could share with a client that reached out to you and said, "Oh my gosh, I'm buried in all this stuff, laundry, paperwork, life in general," where you were able to, they hired you, you were able to come in and then guide them, work with them through that process, and what the outcome was for them as far as peace, buying back their time so they could go to the soccer game? Do you have a story that you can think of to take us through?
Um,
A success story, as we call it, a testimony.
right.
I know I put you on the spot.
I know, right? I've got,
I'm sure one will come to your mind, and we can circle back around to that if you want. And so
yeah.
the flip side of the question on that would be somebody listening to this, because a lot of our listeners are business women and business men. And so
Mhm.
I know this is kind of geared more towards the mompreneur, the business woman. But what would you say to that overwhelmed business owner that's a mom that's listening to this right now who thinks, "Cassie, that's great. I just don't have time to get my life back together. I don't have time and I need help. I need assistance." What's that first step that you would recommend for that overwhelmed mompreneur?
It's got to take a mind shift.
Mm.
And if you're really saying you don't have time, then you really need to pick up the phone and call or go
Mm.
to my website and fill out the request more
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
because a phone call or a message back and forth isn't a contract to do services with me. It's just the first step to get the ball rolling, to have a conversation saying, this is how it works.
Mm. Why
I
do you
mean, you have to step outside yourself.
why do you feel that from your experience in working with clients, there's a separator from the ones that do reach out that are overwhelmed? Because I know they're all around us, especially business owners. They're focused on what they're really good at, and then they struggle with these other areas of life. They neglect, could be laundry, could be scheduling, could be auditing your time, whatever it may be, and they're overwhelmed, which leads to frustration, stuck, and burnt out. So what have you found that is the objection or the challenge or the struggle for that mompreneur, business owner, or businessman to reach out to you? Why are they not reaching out when they know that those services would allow them to buy back their, get their time back versus them having to do it all?
Probably it all goes back to mindset. The entrepreneur wants to do it all. They're like, we've got this. Why? Why do we need you? Like, we
Yeah.
can handle it. Like,
Mm.
we've already got the weight of the world. What's one more thing?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where we're at. As moms, we are pressured to do it all.
Mm.
Why? Like, I've had clients that have said, oh, if I hire you, then my husband's like, well, why are you at home?
Mm.
Why aren't you doing the cleaning? Why aren't you doing the laundry? And it's
Mm.
like, well, then there's the husbands that come along, their wives that are like, oh, this would help you meal prep better. Oh, this would help you go do a side hustle to bring in a little more income. Oh, this will help. Like
Mm.
it's the balance. How many
Yeah.
times we've been told that we're supposed to do it all as moms and not
Mm.
rely on anybody else. It's a crazy world we live in.
It is definitely chaos, but it's an epidemic, and people, I think it all runs congruent. We're not reaching out for help and we're trying to do it all on our backs. And maybe it's,
Mhm.
I'm millennial, I think you're millennial, and even the baby boomers, that's what we were taught, is like, let's do it all. Let's stay in isolation. I'll get it figured out. DIY it, like you said, YouTube,
Mhm.
try to figure it all out. But at what point are you out of line with your values and your beliefs and what's actually allowing you to come alive? And so
Right.
that's what I'm hearing you say is, you are solving that problem. And for people listening to this, I would empower and encourage people to reflect on their own lives. Where are they out of alignment? And I do this every single day, and I share this method on every afternoon. I'm looking at every area of life. And so that could be relationships, that can be my health and fitness, that can be business, personal growth. Sometimes it's at a 4 and sometimes it's at an 8. I need to be able to reflect on that. Where is that 4? Well, I'm actually struggling in my health and fitness because I don't have a company to outsource for meal prepping. Or maybe I'm taking away my time from business and podcasts and guests and the things that actually fulfill me. And I'm over here trying to fold my laundry and clean my house and mow my yard. Well, that is where my time, energy, and effort is going. That doesn't fulfill me. And so what I'm hearing you say is that Taylor to You Solutions allows these business owners to get not only buy back their time, but it's also a strategy to free up the things so you can go enjoy the things that they want to do and that they're aligned with. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I'm curious. So I want to touch on 5 kids, you're a grandma, and you run a business. How do you organize your own time so you don't lose yourself in the process? What does that look like? Take us through a day in the life of Cassi Taylor.
That's actually something I'm working on, is creating the best week for myself and how each piece plays into it. I start my day with God, and I move into whatever business piece I've got going on. And it's mostly business between 3 and 5, depending on the day. But then I'm intentional. If I've got my phone in my hand after 3 or 5 and I'm at home and my grandson walks in and runs towards me, that phone goes flying somewhere else, because there's nothing more important than a 2-year-old who wants your time. My kids ask questions. I put the phone down because there's nothing more important than connecting with them, you know?
Yeah.
There's been seasons that I've stayed up way later than I should have, because that's when my boys are awake. That's when my boys want to talk. And if they want to talk and they want to be awake, then I'm going to be there and I'm going to listen. Because in that season, that's what's important, is building those relationships. Because if they're not coming to me, who knows who they're going to? And I don't want to even imagine the kind of conversations they're going to have if it's not with me at 1 o'clock in the morning. So just being open to their schedules. They're only going to be this age for a short time.
That's right.
If they need, actually my oldest boy came last night and he's like, okay, I'm coming home, I need your help. But I'm like, okay, I'll stay up just a little bit longer to help you. And it was past my bedtime. And he was sitting there talking to me and he's like, Mom, you're really tired, aren't you? And I'm like, so he's like, okay, I'll wrap this up. And he went on. But just making myself available, it's simple.
Yeah. Well,
and I can recover later.
Exactly. And just being self-aware of that, and then holding yourself to it, and then having that community to hold you to it as well. Because in order to have those conversations and show up that optimal version of yourself, you have got to be able to rest and refuel, especially with somebody like you that runs a business, is a mom, and is a part of all, does all this volunteer work. And it's such an inspiration. And it's an understatement for our listeners' audience that don't know you and what you do in this world. I just think it's a beautiful thing, and you embody the level up and live mentality, which is serving and impacting, and then taking people with you. You don't see that often, of taking your husband and taking your kids, and I just love that you do that. Is it all perfect rainbows and sunshines? Absolutely not.
No.
But you're an imperfect action taker, and to me, that is what it is all about, is striving towards that 10.0 version and taking the people that you love, care with you, and instilling that, because you don't have all the answers. And by plugging them into these environments, it's only a matter of time before not if, but when they get to where they want to go. And you're doing that on a daily basis. And so I'm just grateful for you, Cassi, and who you are and the things that you're continuing to do every day and show up, put a smile on your face, and just be vulnerable, lean in. You're an inspiration. And for all the moms
Okay.
out there, all the mompreneurs, you need to reach out to Cassi Taylor. If you don't have her in your life or her business, then you're missing out. I'm telling you right now, she's a breath of fresh air. Every time I get to talk to her, she always leans in. So she's definitely one that you want in your inner circle. So I appreciate you, Cassi.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're
You
welcome.
walked in right at the right time.
Amen. God works mysterious ways.
Absolutely.
Well, let's wrap up. We are almost out of time here. So I got a couple questions for you. You became a rock inside our Level Up and Live mastermind community. And what I mean by that is you've really leaned in. And last Friday, we rolled out standard operating procedures for our table leaders. And normally people are kind of been hesitant on table leaders. They're like, I don't know, because what it takes to be a table leader, you've got to,
Mhm.
level up your skill sets on facilitating and coaching and asking questions and making sure that you're on time, being a role model. And I feel like you're embodied that. And I was like, who wants to volunteer for a table leader? And you're like, me. And you immediately threw your hand up. And I was like, yes, that's my girl. So what has that kind of accountability and connection in the community meant to you on your growth journey in the last few months?
Knowing knowing I have other entrepreneurs, what you say about leading in isolation, I was there.
Mhm.
I was isolated, even though I was trying to do all these other things. Like I said about you being coming in right at the right time. I literally started the beginning of my year asking how to be held accountable so that my business can grow, so
Mm.
that what I'm doing is more purposeful and that I'm aligned with what I believe. And literally 2 weeks later, you're there. And I'm like, I had no idea about this level up and live and this mastermind coaching. And I was just super excited to learn more, to see if it wasn't you, then something like you
Mm.
was possible for me, because I knew I needed something,
Mm.
because I knew that I was the definition of insanity,
Mm.
doing the same
Same
thing,
thing.
expecting a different result. And I'm just like, but I don't know what else to do. So, and this community brings those missing pieces. And
Mm.
I love it. I have somebody I can talk to about family, about
Absolutely.
my business, about relationships, and know that it's all the information is given in love and
Mm.
an understanding, like I've been there, or I'm going through that with you.
Yes.
Let's team up.
Yes. And what I'm also hearing you say is that with the accountability and the reason we are where we are today is power of prayer. You are a woman of prayer. You pray.
Yes.
And I have recently started to try to pray more, and the Holy Spirit is working through us. And here we are meeting and progress, patience, all these things, compassion, love come together. And that is in spirit, that's in frequency. And so when you
Mhm.
get in a community like that, that is how communities are built, because you're in that spirit, you're in that frequency, and you're working together. And that aligns with accountability, support, guidance, and not just in business, but all these other areas of life. Like you said, faith, family, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so you've definitely embodied that. And you've been, like I said earlier, the almost heart. So, and we're just getting warmed up. The sky's
Mhm.
the limit. There's so much untapped potential.
Absolutely.
So we'll have to reconnect and shoot another podcast episode in 12 months from now. Right.
Yes.
So looking forward to it. Last question. This is something I'm gonna change it up a little bit. You're not used to this. I know you're an avid listener and you love listening to the podcast, so you're not ready.
Yes.
This was kind of like an OG question, but I'm gonna ask it. We haven't asked it in a while. What does it mean to you to level up and live? And how are you modeling that to your family, your clients, and your community?
So leveling up honestly means seeking what that next thing is, but not doing it for yourself.
Mm.
It's never just for yourself, especially as a Christian. We are always, that's why I bring my family. That's why I bring my kids because I'm like, if I'm going this far, you're coming this far with me. And I'm going to
Mm,
show you that it's possible even at your age, whether that's younger or older than me. That's
mm,
what leveling up is. You're doing it for a greater purpose and living it out. I mean, 5 hours is too little to sleep, 7 hours is just perfect.
yeah.
It's you're running on empty, you're still not doing anything.
Mm,
You're sleeping all the time, you're really not doing anything. So
mm,
that optimal sleep gives me that push to live the best life that God wants me to live and just walking it out, putting
mm.
it on paper and then walking it out. Like this is what it's supposed to look like through the trials, through the tough seasons. It's not going to look perfect, but that's what we're here to learn and then teach the next one.
Beautiful answer. And I think you executed right on there. Leveling up and living your best life. Thank you for sharing that, Cassie. I really appreciate it. That was from the heart
Okay.
and it was authentic. We are out of time, young lady. So I just want you to know how much I appreciate you for saying yes and how grateful I am that you are in my life. God has put you in my life and in our community. Continue to do the thing, continue to be you, continue to be your
Thank
authentic
you.
self. And I just want to acknowledge you just showing up, being vulnerable, and sharing your trials and tribulations because we're not perfect. We're imperfect action takers. And you are embodying that. You're leveling up, you're living your best life one day at a time, 1% better than you were yesterday. And I'm just grateful for you. So, with that being said, how can our community at Level Up and Live, how can we support you, Cassi Taylor?
I'm on social media, not doing a great job. My personal Facebook page is a public page. Got to live out there and authentically. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's there.
That's right.
Remember, it's a highlight reel, guys. There's stuff going on behind it.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook and Instagram also with my business, Tailored to You Solutions. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Trying to do better at it, but I'm doing a whole lot else too.
Amen to that. You're doing the best with what you have, right?
Yes.
That's what we do is give it our best 110% effort and what is required. And here's the thing, and I'll leave the audience with this. It's who we need to become. So a lot of times when we feel frustrated and stuck, it's who we're becoming in this journey and
Mhm.
figuring it out. And when you do that together, man, it's a beautiful place to be. It's a beautiful journey to be on. And it
Mhm.
allows you to be self-aware. And it's like, oh, I don't need to stress about this because this is just who I'm trying to become and strive to become. God is just he's not going to give me anything I can't handle, but he's going to, it's on his time. It's on his timeline. So why be
Yes.
frustrated when he's just giving you with what you know how right now? So by knowing that, to me, that's peace. That's
Yes.
understanding from that. And I see you embodying that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, Cassi Taylor just dropped some pure gold on what it looks like to serve relentlessly, lead with intention, and build a business that actually supports your life, not suffocates it. If you're a business owner drowning in clutter, chaos, or straight up burnout, this is your sign. It's time to take your life back. Follow Cassi at Tailored to You Solutions. We'll also have it in the show notes. And if today's conversation sparks something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with another leader who needs to hear it. This is how we grow and impact and serve more people. And as always, stop surviving, start building, and let's level up and live our best lives. Leave us a review, share this episode with somebody, then take one action today that gets you closer to the life and business you are called to build. We'll see you in the next episode. Keep showing up, keep leveling up. Let's go.